We are going to discuss about KDF starting pay as you eat to its junior officers, the service members. This is Kenya, where a reduction in the price of anything is not noticed. But when the government added 1,000 shillings on a ton of salt, people complained. 1,000 1,000 kilos of salt and an increase of 1,000 shillings means that each kilo of salt, the price was added by 1 shilling. How many Kenya families use a kilogram of salt per month? If there is any family in Kenya that uses a kilo of salt per month, it meant that they were being added 1 shilling. I heard people say, kwani hata chumvi ni kitu ya kuongezea bei? That is Kenya for you. Just a price of 1 shilling per kilo for salt, not even sugar. People complained. And also, these days of social media, people just rush to say. Allow me to say that they have 4 types of dining halls in the military. In the military term, or in the disciplined services, a dining hall is called a mess. So they have 4 types of messes. Starting from the top, it is called the officers' mess, which you can call officers' dining hall. There is the officers' mess, there is the sergeant's mess, there is the corporal's mess, and then there is the other ranks mess. Officers are the commissioned officers. Sergeants are senior non-commissioned officers. Corporals are junior non-commissioned officers or NCOs. And other ranks are 2 types. Those service members without any rank or any other person. The regulation says that if you find yourself within the military camp and the military do not recognize you either as an NCO, that is a junior NCO or a senior NCO, or even a commissioned officer, if you find yourself within the military establishment and you don't fall under those 3, then you fall under other ranks. But the way they look at people, they establish that your rank could be, let's say, equivalent to this, then they'll tell you that this and that is where you'll be accommodated. So those are the 4 ranks. As far back as 80s, because I remember I almost joined the Kenya Air Force in 1982, 83. General Mohammed Mahmoud almost made me, what do you call in the military, admin officer. That is, if you look at some of the military people, Air Force people, like the recent, Madam Fatuma, the recent Air Force commander, and maybe her replacement, they do not have wings on their chest. They do not have the wings on their chest. So those are non-technical officers. Because technical officers in the Air Force are pilots. Just like you can be in the Navy and maybe you are the paymaster or you are the accountant, or you are in charge of mechanics or whatever, you are not a sailor. So that is how I said I almost became a military man. So as far back as the 80s, where officers' mess, meals were paid for at a very reduced price, at a price that you'll be shocked. Imagine having a 5-star meal, paying price that is less than that of a kiosk, or even paying the rate that imagine what do you pay in the kiosk for a cup of tea? Now imagine going to a 5-star hotel, being given tea in a 5-star hotel and being charged the same price as the price of a kiosk. The other messes, that is the sergeant's mess, corporal's mess, and other ranks, food was free of charge in the 80s and all the time up to now. Not only was food free, one could eat as much as possible. You could, when the messes are open, you could start eating, you finish that, order the second or whatever, or even after eating that, you could go walk, come back, take the second plate, and by the time the meal time is over, maybe you've taken 2 or even 3. I've never heard of 4. So not only was food free, but one could eat as much as possible. I remember when we were staying in Madaraka Estate, when I was in Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3, I used to visit Langata Barracks. Yes, I used to admire military life and I would see that and that, but also I used to look forward to meals there. I had 2 cousins. One cousin was a corporal, the then Corporal Isaiah Tunga, and one cousin was a private or a constable. That is Emmanuel Pandi Wetisia. So that is how I used to see. Food was good, food was free, and you see, it was not just free for service members, it was also free for their visitors. Breakfast. Breakfast is served between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. I'm only estimating, people in the KDF can correct me. Lunch from noon to 3 p.m. and supper between 6 and 9 p.m. Now you have seen when it starts and when it ends. So during that time, you could come with friends and relatives, eat for free, so long as they're within the camp. You and your friends and relatives could eat twice, thrice, or anything. Okay, I can't say that for soldiers, but I can say for visitors because I used to benefit from that. One can eat at noon, then come back at 3 p.m., still eat. That is that. And also, remember, in the pay as you eat, not only do you pay as you eat, you also determine what to eat. But in that free system, it is the meal for the day that you will eat. Such arrangements, as seen from the universities pay as you eat, used to have a crowd on certain preferred day. You see, the university students up to 1990 used to have such an arrangement in the university. And then 1990 up to 1992 is when the universities introduced the pay as you eat system. And I remember I was attached to what today is called the University of Eldoret, but then it used to be called Chepkoilel campus. Now Chepkoilel campus, on the days when they had chapatis and hen, they used to call it dialogue and Airbus. On those days, you'd see lining up. And what the military is also avoiding and used to happen in the university is that on the days of preferred meals, uh, some students used to delay to go back to class because of the lining up. And you see, for a day when they have something like Airbud, Airbus, that is chicken, uh, there are those students who went for the second helping. Plus, you see students, and I think it will also reflect in the KDF. There are those students who are approaching exams, so that they used to see that instead of lining up for a meal that it will take time and whatever, why can't I go into my pocket, take take a plate of githeri in a kiosk just outside the gate of Chef Koilel, and have time to prepare for my lessons. So you'll find that when the new system starts, you'll find that cases of crowding on a preferred day of meal will be a thing of the past. First of all, there'll be no preferred day of the meal, because meals will be there where you you choose whatever to eat. Well, you choose whatever to eat. For those who are in the hotel, correct me, they are moving from buffet to a la carte. They are moving to buffet kind of food to a la carte. Buffet is that you eat as much as your stomach can accept. But a la carte, you look at the menu and choose what to eat and pay as per whatever you're eating. In the military, those soldiers with families around, there are those soldiers whose families are in their real homes or anywhere in town or whatever, not within the camp. Those are the ones who used to eat in the camps. But we had in the military, they had these two types of houses. There is the married quarters and bachelors quarters. Now, those staying in the married quarters, those with families around in the married quarters were given food ration free of charge. Once a week, your spouse, I don't know how it goes with women who are married, but men who are married, their wives go and line up, get ration, so many kilos of sugar, so many kilos of rice, beef and whatever, once in a week, to collect again the other, uh, to collect the other week. Free food across all the ranks, starting from the most junior to the most senior, will continue in either training. If they go back to training, they have so many colleges, and there is a recruit training school, there is a National Defense College, there is National Defense University. Free food will continue in the training facilities, and then when they are in the operations, for example, if they are in a bony forest or so whatever, then there they get free food because of the circumstances. Perhaps, in my opinion, is perhaps the government took long to act over it, to act to what it's doing. And even when they acted drastically. They acted drastically. For example, officers must have been having pay as you eat for decades. Maybe, just maybe, they should have made the sergeants mess start paying for food in the year 2000. And then around 2010, they should have made the corporals mess start paying for their food. And other ranks should have started in 2020. That gradual. Imagine somebody joining the military in 2000, and by 2020, he already is psychologically, this thing of just abruptly taking decisions is what. But then that goes with the current commander in chief. current commander-in-chief has seen there are some things which are delaying and whatever, not only is he putting them back on the rail, but he's imposing it, and he has given himself timelines. Well, you may end up being unpopular because uh, people want to be taken most. Let me tell you a secret, and what is not being said, we are not being told. In such arrangements, there is usually what is called food cards. I don't know whether the military are given something called food cards or food subsidies. Unlike in the hotel, apart from heavily discounted food, one needs not to pay on the spot. And then food cards also says that, for example, they give you food card for daily food card for 200 shillings. It means that you are allowed to eat food of that amount and you don't pay. That card takes care of that. Uh, I don't know whether KDF will also utilize food cards or not, but we have had circumstances in other jurisdictions where people are given food cards. Usage of the food and other such issues, the amount may be drawn from your salary. Yeah, there is also the advantage that in messes, you don't have to pay cash. You only pay cash if you have the money. But if you don't have the money and you have exhausted your food card, then you can, if you have exhausted your food card and you don't have ready cash on you, it can be deducted from your salary at the source. We also have to admit that this is the other side effect of public participation. This is the other side of public participation. You know, anything that can take 9 months will take 1 year because of the public participation. It will delay it. In the previous life, all issues to do with the military was treated with utmost secret. We have cases of conning, including issues to do with food in all government departments, including the military. Since independence, the quality and quantity of food in the military has been going down and down over the years. It has been going down and down over the years, and the military being secretive, being both secretive and disciplined, such things would not be noticed. Any service member who was in the military, in the Kenya military in the 80s, would be surprised in the reduction of food, especially quality. Especially quality. If you are to take any service member who was there in the 80s and you take him to one of the messes, okay, we are already in July, but if you are to take any service member who was there in the 80s and you take that service member to the mess and they see the food, they'll see that it is quite reduced, especially in the quality. Especially in the quality. This was mostly noticed in the 90s. This one was mostly noticed in the 90s, in the time when General Mohammed Mahmoud was the chief of the general staff. With the new constitution, the rank was it reverted to its original name of Chief of Defense Forces. But when Mahmoud was the CDF, the rank was called Chief of the General Staff. During the 82 Air Force coup attempt, he was pending retirement. He was pending retirement, but due to his actions during the coup attempt, he was retained up to 1996, a period of 14 years. People close to Moi then grabbed the opportunity and reduced most of the things in both quality and quantity. the supplies of food to the military. Not just food, but most of the things. But since this episode is to talk about food, they reduced in quality and quantity. Mahmoud was old. Imagine 14 years after the date he was supposed to retire. Many people serve for, it's like going back to serve half the time you had served. He was old and he was afraid of those people because those days you had to prove to anybody that you're close to Moi and anything anything you wanted can happen. Uh, so Mahmoud was old and afraid to be seen to be going against people believed to be close to Moi. Tonje brought back discipline. Tonje, who took over from him, brought discipline. But then uh, there are some things which were now being changed in the military. So that Tonje rules now dictated that the military should be modernized, and being modernized was also to include the right way of having things going through the proper way in tendering and whatever. Quality was brought back, but you see, Tonje had so much things to do, and I think even the changeover where pay as you eat is to be introduced, Tonje must have thought of it. I will not be shocked if he must have thought of it, but he could not implement all the rules at the same time. He could not implement everything at the same time because of one reason. The main reason is he placed a strict rule of how long the chief of the defense force has to be there. And so much had to be done that, and those things have been pending. Or if there have been any changes, the changes have been very little and on a test base, whatever. But all in all, new shoes pinch the leg. New shoes pinch the leg, and for the between July to December, there'll be a lot of core caps here and there. But reaching, because of all the things, if these things would have been done each level, as I said, after a decade, let's say the sergeant's mess is changed, another decade, the corporal's mess, and the third decade, other ranks. By now, people would have been used to that. After all, who said that you should have a meal between such and such a time? You could even come at 3 p.m. and decide to have any meal, so long as you have the money. Even if you don't have the money, it will be deducted from. So the eating places are being converted from school dining halls to hotels, such that the officer's mess is a 5-star hotel, the sergeant's mess is a 4-star hotel, the corporal's mess is a 3-star hotel, and other ranks is a 2-star hotel. In the long run, it is better for those who are affected. That is what I can say from where I am. Thank you.